My name is Joe Termes, and I'm one of the leaders of Idaho 5501. We're here at the Portico North building to talk about the impacts that St. Luke's lease agreement will have on the community here. We have several speakers lined up for you today to talk about what these impacts are and what we want to do to give support to the community in this time. Our first speaker today is David Roth. He is a candidate for U.S. Senate, running as a Democrat in 2026. Welcome aboard.
Thank you. Happy to be here. Once again, my name is David Roth, and I am the Democratic candidate for United States Senate for 2026. I think it's really important that all of us are understanding what's going on here. Healthcare is an integral part of our communities, and you deserve access to healthcare without fear of immigration control or enforcement. Every major medical group out there has asked that ICE stay far, far away from hospitals and clinics, and this is a direct contradiction not only to that medical advice, but the requests or the demands and requirements for funding that the Democrats have put forth in the Senate. This is a time for us to come together as communities and talk about what we want to have in our communities. And I want to also let everybody know that you don't have to take this sitting down. St. Luke's depends on elective surgeries and government-insured patients to remain and keep their doors open. At this point, one of the best and most effective things you can do beyond just calling St. Luke's and voicing your concerns, if you've got surgeries coming up scheduled at St. Luke's, have conversations with your doctors about your concerns about what's going on here. Whether you make a decision to change your plans or not, that's between you and your doctor, but just having those conversations will have a huge impact. So I just want to reiterate, one of the most important things that you can do in the community beyond just calling and voicing your concern, have those conversations with your doctors to share your concerns. They're the ones that are going to really put pressure on the hospital in order to get them to change the lease and not allow this to continue. And with that, I think I'll turn it over to the next speaker. Thank you so much.
Thank you, David. Our next speaker is going to be Maxine Durand, candidate for Idaho State Governor under the Democratic ticket. Maxine.
Hello, I'm Maxine Durand. I'm running for governor of Idaho under the Democratic ticket in May. I'm here because, like many of you, I'm not happy with what ICE and DHS have been doing in our communities in Idaho and around the country. And I am extremely dissatisfied with now St. Luke's offering this rental space to DHS. I think there's an argument to be made here that they will probably stand by, that this is just good business. This is just the interest of, we have space, we're renting it out. This is good for our shareholders and good for our patients. I think the truth is, if you were renting out an apartment building to someone that you knew was a criminal, you'd probably consider giving them that lease. Why would an organization like St. Luke's, which is supposedly in the interest of medical care and what's best for their patients, provide a venue for an organization like DHS and by extension ICE that are being used inherently to terrorize people who have a darker skin tone than me? People who need health care, people who live in these communities just like I do, and now we're going to face threats of being arrested or harassed for seeking the medical care that they need to live good lives in our state. And I don't think that this is something that we can say as a hypothetical. We know in other states and even in Idaho, people are showing up to things that they're supposed to be, medical appointments, court appointments. They're going to their kids' schools to pick them up after school, and they're being detained by ICE. Even if this is what we are being told by St. Luke's and DHS, that this is purely facilities being used for administrative support and not direct ICE operations. I mean, really, if you're providing support of any kind to what we're seeing, you're not one of the good guys. I would call for St. Luke's to end this contract immediately. I also want to point out that I think, in my opinion, probably part of the reason we're seeing Idaho businesses like St. Luke's come up as having venues that are being rented out is probably less about what's going on in Idaho and more about using Idaho as a base of operations to go into more blue-leaning states. I was just in Coeur d'Alene not that long ago, having some conversations there, talking about ICE and DHS activity. And from what it was explained to me by several locals, including some who were more involved than I am at the local level in fighting back against what ICE is doing, Coeur d'Alene is being used basically as a administrative and coordination stronghold for ICE operations in Spokane. And it's easier for them to operate in Idaho because currently our governor is giving them the leash that someone like myself would not give them. This isn't just about what happens here, it's about what happens across the country. What we're seeing with St. Luke's offering this facility, this usage of this office space, is tantamount to collaboration. It should not be taken lightly, and I call upon every Idaho citizen to say enough is enough. We do not support ICE or DHS in this state. We do not support terrorizing our community members, and we need St. Luke's to end this contract immediately. Thank you.
Thank you, Maxine. Our next speaker is going to be Julie Wiley, who is currently running as a candidate for the U.S. House of Representatives. Julie Wiley.
Hi, my name is Julie Wiley. I'm running for Congress in Idaho's Congressional District 2. I'm a retired mental health counselor and a school guidance counselor. But first and foremost, I'm a mom. And moms tend to keep an eye on everything. We care about safety, we care about fairness, and we care about whether our communities are living up to the values we are teaching our children. That's why it troubles me that St. Luke's health system is renting office space to U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, even if it's for just administrative work. It's about trust. It's about what the message sends. And it's about whether that message lines up with the hospital's calling to care for the whole community. Hospitals run on trust. Folks need to feel safe walking through those doors, no matter where they were born. When an immigration enforcement system has a presence in the building, even a separate one, some families are going to feel uneasy. And when people feel afraid, they put off checkups. They skip preventative care, and they wait too long to get help. That doesn't just hurt those families, it affects the health of the whole community. Hospitals are supposed to be places of compassion and neutrality. When they lease space to an enforcement agency, it can look like they're siding with enforcement instead of care. And whether we like it or not, perception matters. A little rental income isn't worth a loss of community trust. Hospitals are cornerstones of our towns. Anything that chips away at trust and a sense of welcome runs against the mission of caring for everyone. So, St. Luke's, I respectfully ask you to take another look. Instead of partnering in ways that raise doubts, use your voice and influence to stand up for policies and leaders who believe healthcare is a human right, who support broader coverage like Medicare for all, and who understand that investing in healthcare is one of the best investments a community can make. That would truly reflect a commitment to the health and well-being of every single person you serve. Thanks.
Thank you, Julie. Again, Julie is running for U.S. House of Representatives. Our next speaker is another one of Idaho 5051 leaders, Lotus. Lotus, come on board.
I solemnly pledge to devote my life to the service of humanity. The health and well-being of my patient will be my first consideration. I will respect the autonomy and dignity of every patient. I will uphold the highest reverence for human life. I will not allow age, disease, disability, creed, ethnicity, gender, nationality, politics, race, sexual orientation, or any other factor to stand between my duty and my patients. I will never use my medical knowledge to violate human rights or civil liberties, even under threat. I make these promises freely, solemnly, and upon my honor. These words are drawn directly from the Declaration of Geneva, forged after World War II to confront the medical atrocities committed in Germany and Japan. That historic covenant reminds every medical student that human life outranks any political ideology, and that a physician's duty is to act with dignity and resilience, even under pressure. Today, however, St. Luke's Hospital is betraying that very covenant. By leasing a space to the Department of Homeland Security, the hospital has turned a sanctuary of healing into an outpost for an agency that flagrantly and routinely sidesteps our nation's laws and court orders. A hospital named for the saint who taught us of the prodigal son and the Good Samaritan should be a refuge, not a place that spreads fear. The law already obligates them to care for anyone who comes through their doors regardless of background, and to suggest that fear is absent because it's DHS and not ICE ignores the reality that DHS has repeatedly militarized civilian personnel, provided minimal oversight, and allocated tens of thousands of dollars per unit, all while shielding them from accountability. If a father cannot take his child to daycare without masked thugs showing up to take him, imagine the impact of a DHS outpost outside of any hospital. Surveillance, intimidation, and the erosion of trust will inevitably harm our most vulnerable patients and the broader community. Therefore, we demand that St. Luke's terminate its lease with DHS and remove the federal presence from this vital medical facility. Do not let fear or politics intimidate you or sway you from your sworn duty. To every doctor, nurse, EMT, and other staff members at St. Luke's, raise your voice with the hospital leadership. They are not the ones who work with patients day to day, you are. This is simply a line item to them. They are indifferent to real lives, families, workers, neighbors, people who depend upon you. Their choice is violating the oath to do no harm. It is our responsibility to resist political pressure and preserve a safe haven for all who seek treatment. I will remember that I do not treat a fever chart or a tumor alone, but a sick human being whose illness touches family, livelihood, and community. I remember that I am a member of this society with special obligations for every human, healthy or infirm. Caring for another person must never be a political decision. Providing a safe space for healing must never be a partisan issue. It is a universal acknowledgement that every person, regardless of appearance, income, language, or documentation, deserves care. Medicine was never meant to be a business, and no one should ever feel unsafe seeking treatment. Please contact St. Luke's today and demand the end of this DHS lease. We do not need surveillance on hospital grounds nor untrained, overpaid pseudo-soldiers that are policing emergency entrances and demanding paperwork before anyone can get care. Let us restore the hospital to the sanctuary it was meant to be, guided by the Declaration of Geneva, by the Hippocratic Oath, and our shared commitment to heal and to not intimidate. Thank you.
Thank you, Lotus. Lotus is one of our fine leaders at Idaho 5051. Introducing another one of our members and candidate for Attorney General, I would like to announce Jonathan Baldoff as next.
You need mics or are you good? Mic's good?
Yeah.
Good. My name is Jonathan Baldoff. This week, I will officially announce my run to be the next Attorney General of the state of Idaho. But today, I'd like to talk to about the building behind me. The Department of Homeland Security, an organization largely created by the so-called Patriot Act, intends to rent space to next to one of the largest hospitals in the state of Idaho. It's unnecessary for them to have this space. For decades, those who are supposed to be our leaders have ignored immigration policy because it's politically convenient. Now, it is politically convenient to sow chaos in our streets to distract us from the larger issues. It's time to remember who we are, Idaho. It's time to remember that we support our neighbors and otherwise leave them alone. It's time to remember that we do not make decisions based on fear, but on policy and on evidence. It's time to demand more from our politics. Demand immigration reform. Demand respect for our fundamental rights. Get your representatives, both federal and state, back on task. Their job is to make it easier for you to keep a roof over your head and to help you put food on your family's plates. Get involved, get organized. Let's roll, Idaho.
Thank you, John. Our next speaker is Mike Fitzgerald, who is currently running for Ada County Commissioner Seat 2. Give it up for Mike.
Hi, my name is Michael Fitzgerald, and I am running for the for the Ada County Commissioner's Office. I am here today talking with people, concerned citizens, people running for office, about their concerns for the trust of the people in Idaho to get the medical care that they need. Right now in the United States, our healthcare costs are so expensive that a lot of people won't go to the hospitals or will delay care just because they can't afford it. Adding on top of that, the DHS's office building being placed right next to one of those biggest care facilities in Idaho is an affront on the trust that the United States citizens and the people of Idaho have on their health department. This isn't a matter of clarification. It's not a matter of little bits that are being used for to clarify what the office is used. St. Luke's has stated that it is an administrative office, but to the standard patient, the people in Meridian and the Treasure Valley as whole, that clarification is null and void, because they argue that you need a warrant in order to get any information, but warrants are applicable to records and rooms, not to parking lots and to sidewalks and public streets. And so people are scared and they're concerned about coming in to a facility that has a DHS office right next door. And us as the people, and as people that are running to represent you, we have an obligation to speak up and make sure that our voice and what we say is clearly opposed to what is happening right now with our country, and as well as in this instance, the building behind me. We need to be standing up. We can make a difference, and we can choose to be the voice of the people that aren't able to speak up for themselves. And that is an obligation that all of us as Idahoans, as people that have grown up here, like myself, are inclined to move forward on. And so let's push this forward, make sure our voices are heard. And like I said, my name is Michael Fitzgerald, and I'm running for Ada County Commissioner's Office. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. My name is Joe Termes, and I am also one of the leaders of Idaho 5051. If you're not familiar with our organization, we are here as a group of people that are concerned about the rights of all people. We are here to represent the average everyday Idahoan, their needs, and their safety and their freedoms. And so I think about, in this case, how St. Luke's, how they advertise in the community, how they present themselves into the community as as an organization that is here to provide community care. We've seen St. Luke's sponsor Pride. We see the commercials that they put on, and even the namesake of a religious figure known for medical philanthropy tells a message and is a brand that they have set up. But many of us have also gotten a bill from St. Luke's. Many of us have gotten letters from St. Luke's talking about, how they're going to do probate on estates, a letter to someone who is grieving a recent death. And so behind that image is a business. And somewhere along the line, someone at St. Luke's thought it was good business sense to rent out this facility without giving much care to who they were renting to and the work that they were doing. And we are here as Idaho 5051 to show that if you are going to be providing these resources to an agency that has killed citizens in cold blood, that we know has deported American citizens abroad, that we know has denied detainees medical care, access to counsel. We know that DHS, their policy has been on violent escalation. And so you have to wonder who at St. Luke's thought that this was a good idea. And maybe on paper they saw that this was a good business proposition where they could make some money on some office space. But I am here to show, along with the citizens of Idaho, that if you are not a good member of our community, it will never make good business sense. So we're going to enable our community here to fight back. We're going to enable them to speak up to St. Luke's and show that DHS's presence is not welcome in the vicinity of our medical care. Because we know where DHS is present, the movement and the rights and the comfort of our people is restricted. We have seen in Caldwell where kids are afraid to attend school because their classmates have been detained. We have seen where the city of Wilder was attacked with helicopters and pepper guns. And so this kind of value does not belong here in Idaho. And I don't care how much money St. Luke's is going to make from this deal, but we are going to make sure that it's a bad deal all around unless St. Luke's agrees to sever this lease and actually stand up for the community that they so sincerely try to claim that they represent. Thank you. This is the conclusion of this press conference. Everybody have a nice day.